Okay, so for today, we need to at least just get this paper set up. And I know you know how to do that. It's been a while, but we're going to fold that paper in half and then in half again and in half one more time. You've done this so many times. I know you know how to do this. Doesn't have to be perfect as long as when you open it up, you've got 8 rectangles ready to go. We're going to write the word video in the corner, not too big, capital V, and then an I. Stick with me, and then you won't get behind. And if you do, it's okay. Just press pause, but you might have to ask for help to press pause to get caught up. D and an E and an O. It says video. And then we're going to write math. M-A-H. The rest of the box gets your name. I'm just going to write Mrs. M. And then just take your pencil and go down the middle, fold, and then across on these folds so we can see the boxes. And it doesn't have to be perfect, not a big deal. Today we're going to be talking about when you compare two numbers and you're trying to find out the difference, when you're trying to find out, well, how many fewer did he have, or how many fewer did she have, if you're comparing two numbers. And whenever you're comparing numbers like that, we call that a difference. And the difference you're actually subtracting. You're going to need this paper. You're going to need your Unifix cubes. I've got all 3 colors of mine, and then a pencil, and that's all you're going to need. Okay, so we're going to look right away. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I know you've done a lot of subtraction with lots of different numbers. I just want you to really get used to fewer. How many fewer? Okay, so I've just put together some quick little equations here, and I put them in a kind of like a word format. So you have to think a little bit. Mary has 10 fancy headbands. So I'm going to put my 10 fancy headbands. I'm going to pretend these are them. So that's 1 stick of 10 fancy headbands. Well, then it says Emily has 4 pretty headbands. So I'm going to take my 4 pretty headbands and put them here. Now, this is not an addition problem. What I'm going to try and do now is see what the difference is between them, because the next part of the question says, how many fewer headbands does Emily have? Well, a good way to figure that out is to match them up perfectly. Okay, because here she had 4, and this person had way more than 4. Mary had more than 4. So we want to know how many fewer that Emily had. So here's the difference here, and I'm just going to count the ones that are not matched up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be 6, and I'm going to write it on the bottom. I'm going to put a number 1 in the corner with a circle around it. That tells me I'm on number 1. And I did it really tiny. Do you see how tiny I did that? So I know this whole box is for number 1. And on the bottom of my square, I'm going to put that there are 6 fewer. And I do need to write the word fewer. F-E-W-E-R. Okay. And I'm going to leave a space here for a reason. We're going to come back to that. Let's look at the next one. The next one says, Luke has 9 toy monkeys. So I'm going to get my 9 toy monkeys. I'm going to take one of these off the Big 10 one. So here's my 9 toy monkeys. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But Jensen has 14 toy frogs. So I need to make 14. So I know that all of one color is 10. And then I'm going to put my 14, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've got my 14. Those are the toy frogs. And then I have my 9. But what I want to do is really get them lined up together so I can see what the difference is. The difference is going to be the ones that do not match up. That's going to show us how many fewer that Luke has. So I'm going to line those up here, make sure they match. And the ones that don't match, that's going to be how many fewer I have. Or I'm sorry, that's going to be how many fewer he has here, because he's missing those. He doesn't have those, so that's how many fewer. Fewer means a smaller amount. So what's the difference? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 here that don't have any next to them. So I'm going to put a 5 on the bottom of square number 2, a rectangle, I guess. I made a number 2 super tiny, right? Super tiny. And then now I'm going to do, on the bottom of my box, I'm going to say 5 fewer. F-E-W-E-R. And I'm leaving this space for something else we're going to come back and do. So I'm going to put aside my cubes. Next one is number 3. Riley danced for 16 minutes. Viviana danced for 12 minutes. How many fewer minutes did Riley dance? Well, I need to make my 16. Boy, I'm going to be running out of cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 2 more. 15. There's my 16, and that all stands for 16 minutes. And then Viviana danced for 12 minutes. I need to make sure I have 12. So I know all of my blue is 10, and I just need 2 more for 12, right? So I'm going to line those all up and see which ones don't match. That's going to tell me the difference between the 2 people. The difference between Riley's minutes of dancing and the difference between Viviana's minutes of dancing will be the ones that are not matched up. So if I match them up really well and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, then I know I'm going to have 4 fewer. And I'm going to write that fewer word again. And this is for box number 3. And I do want you to number them like that. I'm doing it really tiny. So far we have, for number 1, we ended up with 6 fewer. For number 2, we ended up with 5 fewer. And number 3, we ended up with 4 fewer. We're going to do the other side also. Maybe we should go ahead and just number those. So we have 3, 4, 5, really small in the corner. Then go all the way down, 6, and 7. Okay, so for number 4, it says, I'll show you, it says Henry baked 7 cookies. Okay, so go ahead with your Unifix cubes and get 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, and then 16 cookies. And you know what? Or no, wait. Which one am I on? Yeah, number 4. Okay. So 7 cookies, and Carlos baked 16 cookies. So make 16 with your other cubes. I'm going to give you a second to do that. So you should have 16 cubes. It's a long one. And then you're going to have your 7. I already had the 16 from my other one with the dancing 16 minutes. So then I'm going to line them all up. And then that's, whoa, how we're going to figure out how many fewer that Henry baked. Because Henry baked 7 cookies, Carlos baked 16 cookies. How many fewer did Henry bake? Well, I'm going to know the difference between the 2 by looking at the ones that are not matched up. So if I put them next to each other, not matched up. So this means that that's, boy, he did a lot less. Less and fewer mean the same thing. So Henry did a lot less than Carlos did. But how many less? We want to know exactly how many that he did that were less than that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the number. 9 fewer. 9 fewer along the bottom of your box. You know what though? What happens if I don't have blocks to line up next to each other? I mean, I really wanted you to use them so you could see what it means to find a difference between 2 numbers. It's what's missing here. But isn't there another way that I could do it? Isn't this another way? Is there an equation I can write that gets me thinking subtraction, right? Because that's what difference is. So if I go back to number 1, it says Mary has 10 fancy headbands. Emily has 4 pretty headbands. If I take my 10 and I just take away 4, do I get the same number? If I just take 4 off of there? And is it just, yeah, it says 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 6. So really, another way of doing this, it doesn't take as long as if I just make a subtraction equation and then use one of my strategies. So for number 1, the biggest number always goes first in subtraction. A little different than addition because it would always go at the end, right? And then I'm going to take away the 4 to find out the difference. That's going to tell me the difference between the two numbers. So 10 take away 4 is 6, and that's the answer that we have. So I want you to go back and I want you to write the subtraction equation for each one. And I know you can't see the words really well, so I'm going to help you. So number 2, Luke has 9 toy monkeys. Jensen has 14 toy frogs. So how many fewer? We know how many fewer, but how do I set up the equation? The biggest number has to go first. So for number 2, it's going to be 14. 14 minus 9 equals 5. So that is the difference. Same thing as when we lined them up to find out which ones didn't match. That is going to be my difference. Same thing with number 3. Riley danced for 16 minutes and Viviana danced for 12. So 16 is going to go first. I'm in my third box. I'm worried maybe I'm going too fast. And then I'm going to take away 12. And then I have my 4, which is 4 fewer. Okay, so we're just taking what we did with the blocks. We're taking and making equations out of them and showing that that means a difference between two numbers. Okay, so if we look at number 4, Henry baked 7 cookies. Carlos baked 16 cookies. I have to be careful and put the numbers in the right order. 16 has to go first, right? And then I'm going to take away 7. Okay, and then that ended up with 9. So that also means if I have a problem like this, Fatima read 8 books and George read 17 books. How many fewer did Fatima read? Well, why don't I, instead of using the blocks first, I'll use the blocks second. I'm going to look at my equation, which is going to be 17, and I'm going to take away 8. And now I want to find my answer. So I can use any math strategy I want. But since I have my cubes, I can go ahead and make my 17. I want to make sure I've got 17. That's a long train. Let's see. I know all of my blue is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I just need one more, 17. And then now, instead of having to line up another row of 8, I can just take 8 away. Right? Didn't we figure that out? That's how we can find out the difference. So then I don't have to go make another Unifix cube train. I can if I want to and line them up and see which ones don't have a buddy. But this is the same thing. So I can do that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 again. So that's 9, which means then it would be 9 fewer. And you do need to write the fewer. Okay, let's see what number 6 says, and we only have 2 more to do. Mrs. Marchetti ate 13 Tootsie Rolls. What? Dr. Pruitt ate 5 Tootsie Rolls. How many fewer did Mrs. Marchetti eat? No, Mrs. Marchetti didn't eat fewer. It would be, I better change that. I must have been not paying attention. How many fewer did Dr. Pruitt eat, right? That was my mistake. So we're going to write our equation. That's what we can do right away now. We don't have to do the blocks first. So 13 Tootsie Rolls, take away 5 Tootsie Rolls. We need to know the difference. So I can draw a picture of 13 things if I want to. I can make I could do place value blocks, or since I have my cubes, I might as well use those. So I'm going to do 13. All of my blue ones equal 10. And then I'm going to put 3 more to equal my 13. Now I don't need to go get 5 and line them up. I can if I want to, but I have learned now that to find the difference, all I have to do is take them off and take it away. So I'm going to take away 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8. And I'm going to write fewer again. Fewer. 8 fewer Tootsie Rolls is what Dr. Pruitt had. Haha, I had more. So the last one I'm going to have you do, Freddie went down the slide 6 times. Okay. Farrah went down the slide 11 times. How many fewer times did Freddie go down the slide? So we're going to set up that equation. How would you set that up? Instead of you just doing everything I'm doing, I want you to think a little bit. Freddie went down the slide 6 times. Farrah went down 11. So which number would go first in your equation? You're going to write that right here. Something minus something equals, and then you need to try and figure that out. So we're going to start with that bigger number. Put that 11, right? We're going to take away 6. And then we're going to figure out what that is. And some of you may be able to figure that out in your head, which is fine. Some of you may not be able to do that. You use your fingers, but you need an extra finger because it's 11. So I've got my 10 and my 11. All of my one color is 10 plus one more. And now I need to take away 6 to find my difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to leave me with, I'm going to let you figure that out, and then you're going to write that number, fewer. Okay. So when you are trying to find out a difference between two numbers, we can do it the long way and make the two trains and put them next to each other to compare. But the main reason why I want to do that is so you can see that there's a difference. If I show you this one, look at this paper. I have my ducks and I have my cats. How many fewer cats are there than chicks? Well, here's my chicks, here's my cats. So this is what that would look like, right? I would have 6 chicks because that's the biggest number. Take away 4 cats. And then the ones that are not matched up would be, how many fewer do I have? 2 fewer. Okay. And these match up, but those don't. So how many fewer ducks are there than pigs? This one's a little easier because you're just talking about these animals and it's not a true life story like the other ones. But this one would start with my 6 pigs, and then I'm taking away my 3 ducks, and there are 3 that do not have a partner. So there would be 3 fewer. So there are 3 fewer ducks than there are pigs. There are 2 fewer chicks, or I guess they're ducks. What are they? Chicks than cats. And the last one, how many fewer dogs? Look at, there's only 3 that line up. All the rest of them don't, so that's a big difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 8 frogs, and I'm going to take away 3 to find out the difference, and I have 5 fewer dogs. Okay, now there is an activity on the Google slide to do on your own. Google Doc, I'm sorry. And if you want to try that on your own, you'll probably have to have a parent read it to you. But you could try that on your own, or you can bring it. Don't bring it because it's on the computer. That's silly. I will have it at the Zoom and we could do it together. Either way. But if you need a lot of help on figuring out the fewer part, then you need to come to the Zoom and have me help you some more. Otherwise, you could do it on your own.